Having my own space is so important for being able to do my work.
For me to go outside of here and rent something would be absolutely impossible. I wouldn't be in San Francisco at all. I'd be somewhere else in the country.
I don't think there's any place like this place in the whole United States.
I think Jacques is a real visionary. For him to have seen that need and created that and worked so hard to protect this space for artists.
Everybody was asking, what the point? What's the point? I thought it was a nice expression.
Did it occur to you to look at Hunter's Point?
It was the only space left in the city.
Why did you call it the Point, Dad? Why did you
Hunter's
do that?
Point Shipyard. I thought the point would sound right. Card and our logo, we've got a drawing, Picasso drawing with the question mark. What's the point? The 20 years we've had the artists here, we've got maybe 10 to 20 really very fine artists here. Really fine, museum quality work. Most everyone here is a very serious artist. I had to move 3 times. I moved where the Levi Strauss building is now, over to the old Bethlehem shipyard. Got kicked out of there because they were going to redevelop that property, so I finally came out to the shipyard. A big sign out front said space for rent, warehouses for rent. And I went into one of the warehouses over by the water with my pattern business. These patterns are foundry molds that they use for casting iron, and shipyards used a lot of pipes and stuff in there. I must have had thousands of them in an 8,000-foot warehouse full of patterns. Hard to believe it started there. It was sure a beautiful building when I first walked into it. It was all clean. I said, this is it. This is the space we want to be, and luckily we got it. And I found that there were so many people I knew that needed space, that wanted to rent space subleased from me. I said, hell, this must be a moneymaker. I really felt that. I said, this has got to be a moneymaker. If I can get these cheap enough and keep the rents down low enough, I'll be able to rent out everything here. And that's how it developed. Very selfishly, I said, hell, it's got to make money. Rented to a couple of them. Bill Wareham became one of them.
You know, it was '83 that the Ham's Brewery changed hands, and they decided that the artists didn't need to be there anymore. So rather than leaving San Francisco, I'd heard about the shipyard out here, and somebody was renting space out here. So I hooked up with Jacques, and first went to, the main office, which was Al Engel's, and they said, well, Jacques was doing it. So went over to his building, and he rented a front of his space to me.
We didn't even have to sell ourselves. We didn't advertise or anything.
No.
We didn't advertise because after the open studios over there, it was just word of mouth. And I have to tell you, the phone never stopped ringing.
That's how it all started. Al Engel was a little nervous about renting to artists. I wasn't really an artist, I was a manufacturer. I didn't tell him I was an artist. I'd never have gotten the space. I don't think I'd have gotten the space if I'd told him I was an artist.
What did he,
And I wasn't really an artist anyway, so.
You didn't consider yourself an artist?
I don't consider myself an artist. Construction.
Why was Al Engels concerned about, or why would he have been concerned about renting to artists?
Well, he had the false impression that artists were going to give him some real problems here. There's shipyard work going on, a lot of repair work going on. There are dry docks here, and of course artists have a very inquisitive mind, all of them, and they were wandering around trying to see what the heck was going on. Some were taking sketch pads out, others were taking photographs. Did he ever have a problem with the artist? No,
Yes, he did, remember?
Well, there were isolated incidences. I think some couple were
Remember that?
out on one of the docks. Out on the dock.
They were out on the docks having fun.
Having fun.
Who caught him there, Dad?
Al Engel.
The Terzians had something to do with making this such, I don't know, like a cohesive collective of people. This feeling was we were all in something together. We all cared about each other. There was a shared sense of, community, and I think in large part it was because of them. It was one family making sure everything was attended to. Paula being the one who organized the office and got the the books and shape and the billing system worked out. Jacques, who did the renting and a lot of the maintenance, but then David taking over the role of maintaining the space, making any small repairs, that kind of stuff. It was really a very closed family business, meaning that they ran the place and they organized the place and they managed the place, and it was with a very small number of people.
The first building we worked on with you, Paula, was it
110, building
104?
110. So I raced over to the bank with my first paycheck and it bounced.
The hell it did.
It did.
Did it really?
Yeah, remember that's when you were handling the books. That's before I came along and started straightening everything out. I remember Dad was in the office and I said, Dad, how the hell are we gonna ever fill that building, I mean, that is a huge building. And what did you say?
That's very interesting. It never occurred to me that we'd have trouble filling it. Never.
I mean, it's like
I
100,000
just knew it was
square
going to be
feet.
right, and it looked so good because there were just damn many windows in this building, and I said, geez, that's what artists want. They want that northern light. They want to look out onto the water if they can.
Yeah.
They want to look down into the old shipyard that was still sitting there. It's perfect. Perfect place for an artist, bunch of artists.
There were a lot of artists came. Once he opened the other buildings up, they just came out of the woodwork. Remember, you had a waiting list. And then you'd open another building, and then there'd be another waiting list.
Yeah.
And I remember when John DePaulo and I were looking at 101, we're thinking, God, look how well Jacques doing at 117 and 116 and 113 and 112, and why don't we see if we could do something in 101?
What did you do?
We didn't do anything, but you did. And you knew how to, get the sheetrock and get the walls up.
I had a
101.
I had a commitment from Al Engel.
Yeah.
I said, Al, I'm going to do this. I'm opening these buildings for artists, but I don't want any other people to come in here and open buildings for artists.
Yeah.
He says, don't worry about it, Jacques.
You're the guy.
You're the man.
You're the man.
And my dad wanted something, he decided this is what he wanted and he was gonna go get it. And
Is that right?
oh yeah, it's really interesting to see how it, he's very
Well, I was possessed when this building became available.
yeah, and so
Really
he said,
possessed.
yeah.
It had to work. It just had to work. And I wanted my kids to help me develop it, and they finally got around to it.
What do you mean we got
I
it?
had trouble convincing David to come over here and work. You were driving a truck, weren't you then?
Yeah.
I said, David, if you get this thing finished, I said, hell, you'll be able to play golf whenever you want to. Let's get the damn thing finished. Remember that?
I was at work the next week. Golf clubs in hand.
That was hard work.
This was hard work.
Getting this
I
going.
didn't realize how tough it was. The windows are all broken to hell. All the copper pipe was ripped out.
It was ripped out, been stolen.
So I was under this building for, I say, 1 full month.
I mean, just to think of him doing that is still astounding to me, that he alone got under the building and put all the pipes in for the plumbing. And how long is this building? I mean, it's a really huge building, and to think of him doing that by himself is pretty amazing.
In fact, I made a big error in plumbing. I didn't put what they call them, backup pipe, flow pipe, where it would take the shock.
It's like a siphon tube. It creates
Vacuum.
a vacuum tube.
And I didn't put one in, and every time guy would turn on or flush a toilet at the other end, the whole building would shake. Everybody helped. Even the artists were helping.
We had to put up rock and tape the building and sand it, spackle it, paint it.
You see, we had a lot of repairs to do on this building, all these buildings. Their roofs were leaking, and we didn't know whether, first of all, we needed financing to do it because it was going to run I should think to have redone all the buildings would have been over $100,000. We had to go to the bank and get a loan to do that and amortize it over 5-10 years. Of course, we didn't have a lease, and the banks wouldn't lend us any money because we didn't have a lease. So we just gambled and repaired when the buildings needed repair, and we're still repairing without a lease. And we were very precarious situation there. We didn't know whether we'd still have our buildings. AAA was going to leave, the Navy was responsible, and the Navy was trying to get the Missouri back here.
But when they were going to bring the Missouri here, this is during, I guess it was Feinstein's administration. She wanted to home port the Missouri. And they even built a brand new building as a support system. They wanted Jacques' building, of course.
That's when we got political. Scott Madison, Linda Hope. And we decided to go to City Hall and try to protect our spaces.
And at the time, I didn't think of how self-interested it was on his part, you know, to get all his tenants rallied behind him. I mean, I just thought of the fact that sort of in an emotional way, he felt connected to artists, and he felt it was important for them to really keep their working space, because there was so little working space left in San Francisco.
That's why when they gave us a 4,000-foot building, I went to them and said, that's not enough. We still have artists that are hanging in there trying to get some space, and then we came over to 366 after this one. They felt that they'd done enough for us. I kept insisting that it wasn't enough. But I don't know, the Navy was pretty rough, but Al Engel was a little more lenient, easier to get along with than the Navy was. Navy was tough. Then the Navy wouldn't let us have any more property. He said, if you want to rent, you got to call the city. Now we had to go through two people. We had to go, Al Engel started, and we went over to the Navy. The Navy said, well, we're giving that property, or the city's taking over that property, and we can't let you have any more space unless they say it's okay. The city didn't let us have any space, wouldn't let us move, wouldn't let us do anything, because they didn't know where they were going either. They were looking for an outside contractor, which Lennar became after, in fact, they're still negotiating, believe it or not, after 20-something years. Now Lennar won't let us have any property. They don't know how to develop, they don't know what they're going to do to really develop these industrial sites. I see these buildings, and it's so depressing to see these buildings just wasted anyway. Windows broken out, rope put across entrances, doors boarded, windows boarded. We could have filled up another building like this, I think. Like this 101, which has about 150 artists in it. They work hard, they're here on weekends, they're here late at night working. Some of the work doesn't turn out well, but God,
It gives them
at
time
least
to
they're
incubate their talents. That's what it's all
right.
about out here.
That's right. I like it. I like creative people. It's very exciting to see the artists working here, though. I go through the space and walk into the studio. They're so excited about the work they're doing. It makes me feel good. Go into a studio and say, geez, I like the work, but I think you ought to change it. Now that is insulting.
It was more his enthusiasm and his just feeling like he could just pop in that I would allow him and tolerate from him. I would never tolerate it from anybody else.
You know, I am watching out for their interests. I think they take it with a grain of salt, criticism.
He's really a mentor to younger artists and wants to see you succeed. He's got such a graceful style with that. He'll never come in and take over, but he'll say, oh, you're doing it all wrong. Let me show you how. From a very nice distance, and he'll teach you a new technique, but not like take over the project. So yeah, he's full of tricks of the trade. And again, he'll just he'll brainstorm, and he'll just drop what he's doing to come over and help you. And that's just really it's moving, I think, to find someone like that.
There are many artists outside of the point, outside of this space, that do very fine work in their homes, but they have no way to show it. We have our annual, semi-annual, this spring in the open studio, in the fall.
What was that guy that wrote the book in 1984? Orwell, wasn't that 1984? That's when we opened our first open studio.
We have thousands of people coming into San Francisco, even from Los Angeles and Oregon, Washington, for this event. A lot of art is sold here. Outside, that's the wrong price again. think I put the price on it already. Now this is really a fine piece. That reminds me of Brock. Look at this. Picasso, Brock. Just happens accidentally sometimes. But I want to take this home. I hope nobody buys it.
So we'll drive the car right up front.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You got a very beautiful.
You've been lucky for the
You're gonna love it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, nice to meet you.
So Jacques, how's Open Studio going for you today?
Very good. I'm kind of surprised with considering the weather. All these people would come out, but it's really better for us when the weather is inclement. They can't go to the beach. And they even come in from Houston,
Dallas.
Dallas. One Texas City is like another one. All bad. Right on?
Have you been to Texas?
Yep, I was in the Air Force there during the war. Got lost in Texas, by the way.
It'd be easy to do,
I was
actually.
I was a navigator, and we were doing a low altitude mission, navigation mission.
Flat.
The plane took off. I missed the first checkpoint, and I was dead from there on. I didn't know where we were. I said, I'm lost. That's why they didn't send me overseas.
You got lost in Texas.
I got lost in Texas.
Like here during World War II when you worked here.
Thousands of people. It was all. People were tripping over one another, working during the war. I was about 20 when I started working here. Little did I know that 60 years later I'd be back. Almost where we're working now in Building 366. I'll be 83 at the end of this month. I said, my God, Jacques, you've come a long way. 83 years old and still working. And still interested in the studio spaces here and making sure that the artists are still here. Yeah, I'm still just as excited as I was when the first tenant walked in and said, I'll take the space. We found a place for artists. The artists had nowhere to go. I think we find the last place in San Francisco where artists could find affordable studio space. It was here in the Shipyard. This is it. It was magical.
film?